Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Signals from the Deep, the official podcast of your Seattle Kraken. Piper Shaw here with you, as always, joined by my co-host, JT Brown. How we doing?
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here.
I appreciate that. I never know if you're being sincere or
being
not.
Sincere.
Okay.
I am.
Okay, well, we're also joined by...
John and Edzo right now? Are you talking about being sincere? Yes,
Like,
of course. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. We had a great conversation with Vince Dunn before we recorded this part, so that definitely put us, I think, in a good place, in a good mood. It's a great interview, so stay tuned for that towards the end of the episode. But we are also joined by a guest producer today, Austin Ratanacity from our production department, because producer Drew had some business to attend to. Austin, thank you so much for stepping in.
It's an honor to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just hope I'm engineering this well.
I'm sure you're doing an excellent job.
Yes, if there's anybody that I trust, it's you, 100%. Austin does absolutely phenomenal work. I know folks don't always get to see, who it is, who does what pieces. Our whole production department does awesome work. But Austin, if you guys have seen the feature that we did last year on Justin Rogers, one of our trainers, as well as Jessica Campbell, Austin edited both of those beautiful features, which are some of the best I think we've ever done. So anyway, shout out Austin. You're familiar with his work, even if you're not with him. But this is a perfect place to start here because Austin, you actually have a little bit of insight on this, this little story that we want to start with. So on January 29th, the Kraken will be having their annual Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander night. And of course, Common Thread nights also come with an awesome custom jersey designed by local artists. So if you're watching the video version rather than the audio version, JT has one of those here. So these are, of course, auctioned off. The player-worn ones auctioned off at those games. So by the time you're listening to this, those will be closed. But super cool design here. Your thoughts, JT?
I think it's awesome. I think all the Common Thread jerseys, they're all special in their own unique way. You can definitely see this one. It was Kenji Stoll, the artist on this, did a fantastic job, and is a tattoo artist down in Tacoma as well. So I feel like you can see some of that inspiration, a little bit of that culture throughout the entire jersey. I love the sides. I love the logo in the front. It's pretty cool, which, again, each night has something special. So I'm glad that the Kraken still continue to do this on a yearly basis. And, it's a great cause.
And this one's so, different, too. Yeah. I kind of like that it's, simple like that. You can see that tattoo inspiration, which leads us to this story here. Now, folks, if you have not seen the video on Kraken social channels about the design with Kenji into this design here, it's a great video. You should certainly watch it. But you will see this logo getting tattooed on somebody, and that is a Kraken employee, a very close coworker of Austin's, Marcus Allen.
Yeah, Marcus Allen, our fellow senior producer, doing what it takes to get the shot, right? Getting it tattooed. I wasn't on the shoot, but I've seen the footage of him just laying down on the table, getting it printed on his skin.
It's for life.
Yeah.
Anything for content, though.
Yeah, a Kraken fan for life now. And the thing is, he's not even the first producer in Kraken production to have a tattoo on his, that is from the Common Thread. Hannah Ziegler also has the Pride logo tattooed on her, the two little mice or rats that were kind of dancing together.
Oh, cute.
I believe that's on her arm.
Which Pride logo? From this year, or is it from a previous year?
I believe it's from this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 2 this year. That's awesome.
Wow. I love the production department's commitment to the Common Thread.
Yeah. You got to do whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. Well, it is a really cool, this is such a cool design, and it literally looks like a tattoo, so it feels natural.
Correct, and take on the logo. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you have many tattoos, JT.
They would have asked me. I'm running out of space. Okay, so that's the reason I said no, and that's about it.
I believe that Sam Jabara in our fan development department, I believe she said that they asked some folks if there was anybody that might be interested in it for content, and they got dozens of people that were interested in it. And they had a raffle for it, which is awesome.
Yeah, people love a free tattoo, it seems.
Yeah, that's so cool. So anyways, just kind of a fun story to share about our AANHPI night. So very cool. And I'm sure that it's going to be just another awesome night. And we got more Common Thread games coming up throughout the season that we're always very excited for. And we also, since we last recorded, I think We had Kraken Pride Night as well. So I think that must have been between recordings. But that was a blast. Me and Allison had the rainbow streaks put in our hair and all of that. So
got to give a shout out to Ian Furness. His jacket was outstanding on the desk that day. And I thought I had the bow tie going in. I was like, man, this is going to be great. And then I saw him. I was like, shoot. Yeah, he got me.
It's crazy
that
when
was pretty dang good. That was good.
When you have like one of the most subtle outfits for a Pride Night. That's crazy. We all had to step up. We had to compete.
I was slacking that game, I guess. I was not familiar with your game, Ian Furness. Okay, that was a great coat.
How about Bowie's game being coming down from
suspended.
the rafters of the roof as a disco ball to Lady Gaga's Born This Way? Of course, we're working the game, and were you between the benches for that game?
No, I was upstairs on that one, so I did get to see.
You did see it?
Yeah.
I didn't see it till it was on social media later because I'm posted up in the hallway, and I was like, what? I was like, Bowie, disco ball Bowie.
Not the first time Bowie's been suspended from the rafters. Like I love like roller coasters and heights, but I don't know that I would like to be suspended by
he
a
was
string.
like swinging too. I was like, oh my gosh.
Good on Bowie.
Yeah. Shout out Bowie. You are truly a troll. An absolute maniac. So, all right, we are going to, believe it or not, actually talk about some hockey and some Kraken hockey. So, one of the unfortunate things that we have to talk about it. We've been talking about it nonstop on the broadcast. Every interview that I've been doing with guys who are on the power play, we've had to talk about shorthanded goals against, because that has been an unfortunate recurring, trend a little bit. However, I mean, the power play has also still been able to convert in a lot of these cases too. But how do you, JT, what is your view of kind of what's going on there with breakdowns or how that happens?
Well, I think the first thing you'll say is the power play has been good. You look at the adjustments that they've made, they're still producing at a high level, I believe in the top 10 in the NHL right now for the power play percentage. So that's a huge positive, right? You look at where they were last year compared to this year, that's an obvious jump. And there's going to be a lot of games throughout the season where you need your power play to get you that goal. And so far this year, they have been doing it. There hasn't been too many like long stretches where the power play is inactive. They're not getting the looks that they want. So I think from a positive perspective, looking at the units, I think it's a little bit, as well as Lane's done a great job of putting the unit out that does well, right? If the one unit goes out, they have a bad first, minute of the power play, the second unit goes out and goes really well. Well, the next time you get a power play, he's putting that second unit back out there, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter, which player, what their contract is, who they are. It's who's going good right now. We're going to keep putting them back out there, give them the best look. So I think that's been a big positive. But on the negative side, like you're saying, when you give up that shorthanded goal, it can definitely deflate, the momentum, whether it's on the bench or the players on the ice. And it's not for lack of trying, right? They're obviously out there. They're doing a lot of the things the right way. And sometimes it is just bad bounces or a bad break that goes through. But you start to see the trend, right? It's 4 at the time of recording this, 4 shorthanded goals in 5 games against. So it's something that they definitely have to clean up and being a little bit more crisp on. I think the other side of it too is just making sure you go out, work the penalty kill, right? So sometimes you can get into not saying that they are, but in just general, you can get into a lull of that you have the extra attacker. So it's not necessarily about outworking the penalty kill as well. So to go out there and make sure that everything is crisp, being out there detailed, knowing your game plan of what's going on. And I think part of it, could it be that there's less practice time? The schedule is condensed, just it takes a split second of a lapse of not being focused on a certain player, not being ready to make that play or that pass, and all of a sudden it's going back the other way. So it is demanding. And I think the players that are out there, they want that. They want that pressure of being out there on the power play. So we've heard all of the players talking about it, how it's unacceptable, that it needs to be changed. And I don't necessarily think that there's just one thing that's happening over and over again where you can say, hey, we're making a bad kick out on the entry and we should just dump the puck in instead of skating it in every single time. If that was the case, it'd be very simple. It'd be a very simple answer to why or what do the Kraken need to do to stop giving up shorthanded goals? Well, sometimes it's a kick out. Sometimes it's a shot that might miss the net and it's a bad deflection that goes into a different spot. So I think it's more just reading, being on the same page with everybody, and just kind of taking that pride. I know those guys have a lot of pride down there in that room. They want to be on the power play. They're the players that are looked to by the rest of the team, in those moments where you want to go get that big goal. So for them, it's just focusing on the little side, the details of the game. They don't have to change a whole lot because the power play has been good. It's just a little bit more. Maybe it's the focus, making sure those passes are crisp and making the right decisions at the right time, which they have, and it'll continue to, or it'll go back the other way because it's more of a recent problem than a full problem, throughout the entirety of the year. Again, credit a little bit to bad breaks at different times, but at the end of the day, you're still out there. You're out there for a reason, and at the end of the day, when you give up that goal, now the whole purpose of the rest of the power play is to get that goal back versus to take the lead or to, if you're down in the game, to shorten that lead. The whole purpose now is to just get that goal back. So again, it's troubling to a degree, but at the same time, it would be worse if the power play wasn't converting at the rates that they are right now. So it's a weird one. I don't know that there's an exact answer as to how you fix it. It's just maybe one of those trends that if you just keep pushing through and keep doing the right things, it'll eventually change for you.
And with that in mind, too, I have asked this question to every coach that it has been relevant to in the moment, as well as players that it's been relevant to, in the moment. So assistant coach Chris Taylor, who coaches the power play, I asked him about it, and he basically said that same thing. It's just like there's not anything that is like a trend in terms of like the execution there that is leading to it. But with that in mind, I did want to share a couple of comments so that all of you, in case you missed it on our broadcast, so that you can hear from head coach Lane Lambert when I asked him this question, as well as a couple of our players. So here they are.
Concerning, obviously, costing us hockey games a little bit. We're giving up some opportunities, breakaway type opportunities. I thought tonight was a half breakaway kind of thing. Maybe a little better angle coming back could have helped, but we got to quit doing that.
It's unacceptable. That's 4 or 5 in the last 6 or 7 games. So, no excuses. I think you got to dial it in. Obviously, from the start, this is a team that's obviously more desperate than us right now. They want it more, and it's obviously showed. So, obviously, early on, it's ugly. Power plays, again, just inexcusable.
Okay, getting back on the positive side here, JT, even with, all of the things that have gone on in the winning streak, and then a little bit of a skid, and then a win, and just kind of the highs and lows, or as Vince Dunn has said a couple of times, the roller coaster that the winter has been so far. Something that has been a consistent positive has been the play of Philip Grubauer. What have you seen from him, and how much of a lift has he given this team heading into a huge moment for him on the Olympic stage?
He's been outstanding when you look at his performances this year and really giving the team an opportunity to win every single game that he's in. And, you guys will hear it later. Vince has some great words when he's talking about Grubauer as well. And, his play, and to see him bounce back after, you look at last year, maybe not his best year when you look at his season as a whole, but it's still there, right? And to be able to come back, put the work in the offseason, what a big year this is, not only for the Kraken, but for him himself, obviously being named to the Olympic team, how much that means to him, and to be able to have that type of a year that he's having right now it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch his progression, and you see him, he's just battling for pucks, right? He's making the big time saves when you need him to steal a goal or an opportunity away. There's how many games can we count, this year where, again, we're talking about Grubauer, but just goaltending in general, where if it wasn't for their goaltending play, it could have been down 3-4-0 in the first period, and it allowed the team to build their game, get back into the Kraken hockey that we know and we watch, and we love watching them play. You look at the second and third periods, their goal differential is a positive, I think, in the top 10 for the second period, and then just outside for the third period. And when you look at that, you need your goaltenders to make a few big stops and big saves in those moments. And it's not always about the highlight reel, the windmill, like diving, sprawling save. It's the timeliness of some of those saves. And even go back to the game versus Anaheim where they're playing it. It's the penalty shot, right? It's a 3-1 game at that moment. And
the poke check. That was nasty.
And again, now that is a huge save in that moment, but the timing of that, when you're looking at it, second period, you're down 3-1, 4-1 is a completely different game. the Kraken did have a much better push into the third period, got it close, got it to the situation where they're pull the goalie, try to get that tying goal. They don't end up getting it, but I look back to that moment and you're like, the timeliness of that save was so important for the team to be able to keep that momentum or try to push and build their momentum into the third period that they did have. So seeing those type of plays on a nightly basis, obviously the penalty shot has a little bit more stress to it than, the course of a 5-on-5 game, but they're making those saves in the moments where you need a stop. And again, whether you're talking about Gruby, you're talking about Joy, you're just saying that the goaltending this year has put them in a position where they can win those games. And Grubauer's numbers over his last, 6-7 starts have just been out of this world. I mean, he's in the top, toward the top of the league when you look at goals against, you look at save percentage, and to be able to put those numbers, it gives the guys a lot of confidence, right?
Goals too. I mean,
it's the confidence, right? They know, I think we talk about it too on the broadcast too, like sometimes you need a goaltender to bail you out. You're going to make mistakes in a game. There's no way that you can go through an entire 60-minute hockey game without making a mistake. Well, at times you need your goaltender to bail you out. And there's times where the goaltender needs the defenseman who's in front to bail them out. They were off their angle and someone needs to block the shot or pick up a stick on the back post. So like those things happen, and they're happening well for the Kraken right now. And I think that's when you start to see them play some of their best hockey.
So another thing that I wanted to talk about that, I have the privilege of getting to talk with you and talk with Al and Eddie and Allison about whatever random hockey thing. I'm like, okay, I just kind of want to know about this. Like, what do you guys think about this thing? And one of the things that we've talked about before, and that I love to talk about with Allison too, that I thought fans might think are interesting, is just faceoffs, right? It seems like it's so simple. You take a draw. If you win that draw, you get possession and you're off and running. But there's so much more and so much nuance into getting possession, what goes into the art of the face-off, all of those things. So the question that I wanted to pose to you, because I feel like I see fans talk about this a lot, because we obviously have several young centers on this team and wanting them to get stronger in the circle over time here. How do you get better at face-offs? I know that you weren't a centerman, but like, how can you actually increase that percentage? What things can you work on? What does it kind of take? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good question, and there's a lot of ways that you can do it. And I think for me, not being a center, it was something I had to do, right? Because you're going in and you're not taking as many draws per game. You don't have as much practice at it. Still having to learn and try to figure out how to do it, because it's still important when the centerman gets kicked out that you know what you're doing, or you have at least a plan of what you're going to do. And I think for the centers, less likely for me going in, but for a center, obviously you want to know, obviously there's different plans that you want to have, whether you're on your strong side, are you on your backhand, or you're on your forehand, which way are you trying to win the draw? And I think being on the same page with everybody, not only just the forwards, but the defense as well, it's a huge part of it, because as much as we put the pressure on the center to win the draw, it's just as much on the wingers to battle. It's just as much on the defensemen to get in, because a lot of those draws are 50-50 draws where it's not just one cleanly back to the defense or cleanly to your winger. It's something in between where there's a battle. They have to have somebody go in. And if you're a center that's struggling in a game or throughout a season, it's a lot of times we'd have conversations, with the center like, hey, just haven't been doing, my timing's been off today. I'm going to just try to tie up. I'm not going to go try to win the draw because they're beating me clean, but I need you guys to get in there. Or I've been losing a lot of draws. How about you guys just jump forward as the wingers to jump in to help out the centerman in different ways? I think it's harder for the younger centers in this aspect. Cheating in the face-off circle is abundant. If you're not cheating, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Wow, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
But as a younger,
if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah,
that's a famous JT-ism.
Again, you're just trying to get away with as much as you can, whether it's, angling your feet, having a little bit better angle going through, whether it's not putting your stick all the way down to the dot, and you have to time things out perfectly. But I feel like as a veteran player, you get a little bit more leeway. It's harder for the younger centers. It's harder for the winger that comes in and, when the player gets kicked out, because now if you get kicked out, it's a penalty, so you can't cheat as much. So just trying to find that line, knowing where linesmen want to drop the puck. And a linesman dropping the puck is different than the officials dropping the puck, because they only drop the puck, when you talk about the start of the period versus all the other face-offs that happen.
Okay, can you explain that really quick, though? Why is it how they drop the puck different?
Well, they just don't do it as often,
right?
Okay. So the linesmen are dropping at all of the other dots when you go through. I mean, probably 90% of the faceoffs are dropped by the two linesmen. Yeah. And they have, I mean, just through repetition, how many different times, not that they can't, but it's usually just a little bit different.
Super
and
clean.
They're figuring out their timing. So, like, I think as a center, you want to be watching not only what the other player's doing, you want to know what their game plan is, but you have to have your own game plan. Are they going strong on their backhand? Well, if you're not stronger than them, trying to go strong on strongs maybe might not be the ideal situation. Maybe you're going to try to do a quick face-off. I've talked about tying up as another option to go through, pushing the puck forward. There's so many different things, but I think it's all about being on the same page with the guys that are on the ice. And at times it's okay to say that this guy's got my number, right? Like, at the end of the day, maybe you switch out and you only take draws on your strong side and you have another winger come in for your offside face-offs. And I think that, just taking time to know your opponent. I know it was in Tampa, we always had on the computers, the main 4 face-off takers for the opposing team. There'd be a file and like, hey, here's 15 draws that they like to take. Here's what they like to do on their backhand. Here's what they like to do on their forehand. So you kind of have an idea of what they are going to do going in. That can obviously change at any moment. Having 1 or 2 different things, much like a pitcher in baseball, right? You can't just keep throwing fastball the entire time. So how do you change up your style if it's not working? So I think there's quite a few different ways, whether it's video, knowing what the other player wants to do, but also paying attention to the linesman, because each linesman has their own way of dropping the puck. Do they delay another extra half a second? Because it's all timing.
Yeah.
Majority of the face-off is getting the right timing, making sure that you're timing the drop when you start your motion, how you're going to pull the puck either back on your backhand or your forehand as well. It's not easy to do. That's why the guys who win a ton of face-offs are in high demand.
It's an art.
They're paid very well. And I think for me, I did a lot of time just working with guys who took a lot of face-offs and were good. Now, trying to figure out, not obviously necessarily copying what they do, but I also wanted to go take face-offs against them, right? I think even in practices, we would have competitions where the loser of the face-off battle had to untie your skates, or everybody's skates that was doing the competition. So we'd be just waiting there for the player to get off the ice after practice so they could untie our skates for us. And that kind of kept the game-like mentality when we were out there practicing. Yes, nobody wanted to take off anybody else's skates and have to do that part. So practice, one, but having a game plan is also huge, and trying to figure out the league, try to figure out who you're going up against and what are they trying to do. Because if you have that idea, you kind of can go in and change your mentality or have a little bit of an edge going through. And that's where I say the cheating part is good on the face-off, because, again, you're just trying to gain any little edge that you can possibly get.
That's so interesting to me, though, because when you're talking about all of those different things that you can study, that you can consider, you can watch for the linesman, like who's dropping the puck, who are you against, and then also in what situation, D zone, O zone, neutral zone, like which side, all of those things are happening and are having to be considered by players in a split second. Exactly. And it has to be just something that you just learn, and that becomes second nature to analyze in that way too, which I just feel like I don't know if people consider how much goes into all of that thought process and all of that preparation to just make that decision in literally a split second.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for anything can happen. Obviously, pucks bounce too, so then is it the second effort that goes through? And now they've changed face-off rules before. You used to be able to use your skate to block it. I mean, now obviously you can't use your hand at all either. So there's different aspects of a face-off that, you talk about being a split-second decision, and the time that the official drops the puck to you start moving, and then all of a sudden it's snap back one way or another. The reaction has to be there, and you can work on that, right? And I think that if you ever come to watch a practice, after every practice, centers and wingers will be taking face-offs. So it's not for a lack of trying. At the end of the day, it's more just, like I said, if you can figure out what they're doing, and the faster you can figure out how this player may be beating you, now you can change your attack. So just don't keep doing the exact same thing over and over. And again,
which is funny, because Lane actually said that post game. I believe it was after the Anaheim game. He actually said, he's like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. That's why you got to change things. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Again, there's plenty of times. There's a couple. I only played, I think, maybe 4 games at center in my NHL career. And there was a couple times I just went back to the room. I was like, I got nothing. I'm not a true centerman. I'm like, just be ready to lose the faceoff because I'm not winning it. I'm just letting you know right now we are going to lose this thing. So push forward.
So the honesty is key, though. The honesty is key. But what's interesting, too, and this is something that Allison loves to point out on the broadcast, or that like we talk about a lot, too, is that the face-off stat, when you look in the box score, it does not measure possession. It measures who touched that puck and got it back, right? It does not necessarily measure which team actually got to play with it after that face-off occurred, which is ultimately what truly matters, which is like the exercise of the face-off, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a intuition, that's reading the play. You can jump, a route even if you win it back, but it happens more often than not, I would say, from if you're in your offensive zone and you win the puck back, it is in between the defense, but then the defensive team jumps through and picks it up. It's like, well, technically he won the draw, but you didn't get possession for it. So it's weird, and every building is also different. It's very, like, how long does the 50-50 battle last? There's times where I've looked in a period and it's like, Matty didn't win that. He didn't win a faceoff, or whoever it is. I'm just picking Matty. His first person came to mind, but I'm like, he won the faceoff that went back to the point shot went in. Like, that's an assist. Like, he won the faceoff. He got an assist for it. So again, it does happen where you miss something or they don't get credited for a win when they definitely have won the faceoff. So it is hard to truly just go right on the numbers, because you look at all the 50-50 battles and how somebody scored it from, in some buildings, way up, from where we're broadcasting from a long ways away. So things do get missed as well in those stats. But, at the end of the day, it is a huge aspect of the game. There are so many faceoffs that are taken, and Edzo says this a lot. And
Edzo said so.
Yeah, we're still working on that one. We're going to get a sponsor for that. But
I want to wipe.
If you win the faceoff, you get to dictate the terms, right? Like, and he says, and it's so true, because when you win the draw, you start with the puck. You get to, especially in the offensive zone, you have a play set up, usually whether it's a D-to-D one-timer, maybe your D is going to come down the wall and just try to create a little bit of confusion. Maybe your wingers are going to rotate, switch spots so you can have another one-timer. Like, there's so many things you can do on the offensive side. Now, if you lose that draw, you're chasing the puck. Now you're instantly in retreat mode. Now we got to go chase and get that puck back, versus winning. You might get an extra 10 to 15 seconds of zone time, wear the team down as well. So winning a faceoff, obviously in the defensive zone, is important too, because it's the exact opposite, but you want to exit as soon as possible. So having the puck and having a start with the puck is huge. And it might not always translate into a goal when you win a faceoff. You can go games without winning a faceoff that goes directly to a goal, but it's that time spent in the zone. It's the momentum that you keep building and not chasing the puck. That is a huge aspect of the game, where you may not think, oh, the faceoff in the neutral zone doesn't really matter. Well, when you win it and you go right back into the offensive zone, wear them down for 15 or 20 seconds.
Momentum builds.
Now the next line keeps going out and you just keep rolling, and it's like, maybe that faceoff didn't have a direct correlation, but that is a huge aspect of how the flow of a game can work.
I love that insight, and I want to go back to something really quick, which feels like it was a little bit ago now, but you're talking about, like, in practice. Any hockey team you watch, they're practicing face-offs after the game. But you said this before, like, off mic, like, but it's also so important to find a way to kind of create that internal competition, because if you're just taking draws mindlessly in practice, you're not doing that mental analysis of everything that goes in when you're doing it in the game necessarily.
Well, it's having the face off, or having the practice be as close to a game situation, or have the same, or as close to I don't want to say reward, or like, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say.
Conditions,
but you want it to be as important
Simulated.
as possible, right? Like, versus, like you said, just aimlessly pulling pucks backwards. And because in a game, it might take, unless you're Stevie, but you're probably looking at 12, 13 face-offs in a game.
Unless you're Stevie.
He's going to take quite a few, and you want to have that internal competition so that you can get, obviously it's going to help you get better, but it's also helping your teammates as well, giving them different looks, trying new things as well. You don't want to go into a game and now all of a sudden try a brand new face-off technique that you've never done before, right? Like, you want to be able to be confident in it going through. And you watch a face-off, or a center in general, a lot of them have a routine. When you go in, whether it's, how long do they wait before they set their stick down? Do they go in? Do they look? Do they get their feet in the right spots? They want to get a solid base setting up. So, like, go into your face-offs in practice and do that same routine, how you would do it in a game. Try to get that timing down. And I think that when you have that competition, because nobody wants to lose, right? Whether it's taking off skates or just the internal jokes that you might have with each other, when you have that, it's going to make you better when it comes down to the game time. You have that pressure. You have that want, to win that draw. And obviously, again, not just the centerman, it's got to be the wingers as well. It's got to be that first step. You got to time it. You have to push through. So there's a lot of aspects that go through, but I'm a competitive person.
You don't say.
I don't say.
Don't
Yeah,
say. I had no idea.
I don't want to lose in practice. I don't want to lose in a game. I don't want to lose anything at any point in time. So when you have those battles, and it makes you a better face-off taker, it makes you better as a player, it makes you better in all aspects when you have that internal competition. But I think especially in the face-off dot, since it's a start-stop type situation, it's something that you can definitely work on. And again, part of it could be getting stronger. Part of it could be, your timing and how fast you're moving when you're getting into the face-off circle. But again, there's a lot of things, and you see them practicing, but it comes with time too. You're going to go through streaks. Might be a game where you win 7 out of 10, and there might be another game where you win 3. But at the end of the day, you want to try to find that average, right?
What's so interesting about our team in particular, too, like you mentioned, like it's important for wings to take faceoffs, too. We have Shane Wright, Matty Beniers, Chandler Stevenson, Freddie Gaudreau, Ben Myers when he's healthy, and Berkeley Catton, who are all natural centers, but playing on wings, too. So you have, so many different perspectives to have and options to have, too, in the faceoff circle, which is just unique for this group, I feel.
And I think, too, it's important for the wingers as well. I always say I won a lot of faceoffs when I would win them because they don't know what I'm trying to do, because I don't take a lot. It's not like they have, film or they're ready for you to go in. It's just a different look. So as a winger, it's important to be as confident or strong about going into the faceoffs as well, because they're not used to going. They've taken 20 faceoffs already against Chandler Stevenson, and now all of a sudden the winger comes in and you're like, oh, I haven't even seen this guy yet, right? So when you have that, so it's a little bit of an advantage to you in that point. Which, speaking of face-offs as well, practicing whether you're the person going down first versus being the person who gets to go second. It's a different technique. It's a different position to be in as well. So there's that aspect.
Why?
I'm just adding another one because the person who. So if your stick is down first, you're at a stopped motion. And as soon as if you leave too early, it's easier for the official to stop and say, hey, you moved, and then we have to restart that face-off. So you're starting from a stagnant point versus if you are the person who puts their stick down second, usually the offensive team, you now are already moving your stick. I don't know if I can see it. So if I'm a right-handed face-off taker,
Watch the video version.
I'm putting my stick down towards the ice, and as soon as it hits the ice, the ref is supposed to be dropping, but you can hover your stick, make it so it's really close, so you're already moving as that puck is being dropped versus having to be from a standstill, and now you have to pick your stick up and move it again. A little bit of cheating to go through, but you're using the momentum of putting your stick down second. Now, you're supposed to wait until both players get their stick down, but it never really works that perfectly. So you're trying to time it, right? You're trying to time the official's drop of the puck, but when you're moving, you have a little bit of an advantage instead of just stopping and you're just sitting there waiting, right? Waiting. So.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's such great insight too. Like I love that, we have the podcast to be able to talk about things like these, like in depth, because I'm sure that a lot of people probably just learned so much about faceoffs where it seems like it's just like this simple, quick part of the game, but there's so much that goes into it and so many different considerations. And it's also why it's great that the Kraken have so many options for draws and the benefit of that.
Well, that's the difference. Like it's weird though too, because I just explained to you why the person who goes down second usually has the advantage. But for me, when I took faceoffs, I didn't have the timing because I didn't take as many per game, right? You're only taking 2 or 3 as a winger in an entire game. I preferred to have my stick down first. Why? Because my timing wasn't perfect. I wasn't a true centerman. I didn't like
reliable.
I just liked, all right, it's here. I'm going to pull it back, and my stick's already in the position. I didn't have to worry about moving and trying to time things perfectly. So I enjoyed actually having my stick down first, but maybe I should have probably practiced or got better at doing the other one. But at the end of the day, I mean, each player has their own plan and how they want to attack a face-off, and there's just so many different ways. And that's where picking the brains of, a guy like Stevie who takes a lot of draws. Freddie Gaudreau's a very good face-off taker as well. Been in the league for a while. Like, pick their brain. Try to figure out what they're doing, and then how can you emulate that, or how can you take what they're giving or seeing, watching people's face-offs around the league. Like, it's such a fascinating little detail of the game that probably doesn't get much credit.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad that we could like deep dive into this, because obviously you can't deep dive into all of this in the middle of a game broadcast or a pregame show, you know. So I'm glad that we could kind of like just sit in this a little bit. I think it's cool. So everybody watch.
Well,
watch
next time we have a center on, we'll have to ask them, because again, I'm no expert when it comes to face-offs, but at the end of the day, you know, they can give you they could give even a better prediction of, you know, what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. But just from still obviously had to take draws, but just not an expert in that field.
Oftentimes when I ask the guys about those kinds of things, like off camera and stuff, they don't want to reveal the bag of tricks. You know, it's like, we can't, I'm still playing. I can't tell you all my secrets.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe just what goes into it. We'll dive in.
Yeah.
I'll get them to answer.
Yeah, you will.
I'll get them to answer.
They'll crack open for you. Also, you know, on that note, we did not, unfortunately, ask Vince Dunn about taking faceoffs. As if Vince Dunn is if he's taking faceoffs, something's gone.
It has happened this year.
Really wrong.
I can't remember who had to take the faceoff. Maybe it was Lindgren. Where it was a 5-on-3. Stevie went in and they kicked him out of the faceoff, and the defenseman had to go in and take the faceoff. Lost it so clean, but. It does happen, and it's very rare that it does happen where a defenseman has to take a draw, which I think I told you this beforehand. It was pretty funny in college. I think I was like 6 for 6 on my second year in faceoffs, and I wanted to keep 100%. 4-on-4.
Very competitive, JT Brown.
4-on-4 in the neutral zone, and my centerman got kicked out, and I made my defenseman take it because I didn't want to lose my perfect faceoff percentage at that point in the year. That did not go over well when I sent the defenseman in instead of myself going through. So
that's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, I can't believe that in Division I college hockey, your coach was just like, "Yeah, JT, you can make that call."
Was not thrilled with the decision to put our defenseman in the faceoff. Thankfully, it was in the neutral zone. It was not a defensive zone draw, but those were the situations. It does happen very rarely, but a D can take a draw.
Was Scott Sandelin your coach, or was that before he was? Okay,
yes, he
I don't
was.
know if that was like before his time. I'm sure. Did you enjoy playing for him?
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, and you're not going to say if he didn't, but
No,
I've heard
I loved
only
it. Loved
incredible things about him as a coach.
No, he's fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, speaking of a little bit of Vince Dunn, we are going to dive into this interview with him now. We talked about all kinds of things, NHL dress code. We talked about some other sports, what he's cooking these days, what he's reading these days. It was a great conversation with Vince, so please enjoy. All right, we are so excited to have the one and only number 29, Vince Dunn, on Signals from the Deep. Vince, how are you doing this Saturday afternoon as we're recording?
I'm great. What an intro you gave me. So we're off to a good start already.
We gotta bring the energy.
That's why we had Piper do the intro and not me, because it would not have been that good had I done the intro.
It's like 6 words. I really feel like you could handle it, but it's a confidence thing.
Next time.
Okay.
Next time we'll work on it.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to start. Schedule this year has been kind of crazy as it's been going on. What are your thoughts on how has it been for you?
I love it. I think just being in game mode all the time, it's just go, go, go. And for me, I think it's always just kind of short-term memory. It's just one game after another, and whether it's a win or a loss, you kind of just move on and get ready for the next task you have. And I think the chemistry and the vibe is a lot different this year. I think everyone's pretty tight and really on board to really try to do everything you can to get a win. So I think just having the culture there, it makes everything so much easier showing up every day to work for each other. And I'm really enjoying it. I've enjoyed all my time here, but especially this year, it's been really fun.
Obviously, with just the intense schedule this year, it's nice to kind of get that longer Olympic break as well. How valuable is it to have that kind of extra week with how many games there have been leading up to this? And then also, do you like the Olympics? Do you want to watch the Olympics? Are you going to kind of keep an eye on it, or just kind of get hockey off the mind for a little bit?
Well, I think just having a couple of the guys on the team participating, that's something to watch. And don't really have anybody friends related in other sports, so I'll try to tune into the games as much as possible. But I think the break is good for everyone, and even the guys going over there, it's such a different environment, and I'm sure they'll be enjoying their time just as much as working towards gold medals and things like that. So it'll be good for us to just kind of get a break from each other. I mean, it is nice to spend almost every day with each other, but just to kind of get away from that a little bit, restart, and take the time to rest. It has been a grind, but I think everyone's just really looking forward to finishing these next few games off really strong here. We know they're important, and we've put ourselves in a chance to put up a good fight in the standings, and I think we got to feel at least pretty good with where we're at right now.
So with that in mind too, I just wanted to follow up with that. To see Gruby have the year that he's had so far this season, and then also for him to get to like live out a childhood dream of his to play in the Olympics coming up. How cool is that for you to see too? Because you guys are both original Kraken. Like, you've been on this ride together for so long.
Yeah, I've always been a Grubauer fan, and it's been tough to see his struggles early on. And I think I'll say it over and over again in my interviews. It's all about the team that he had in front of him. It wasn't anything personal with his game. So we weren't the best team in front of him, and we didn't really give him a chance to succeed. But he's worked so hard, and just to see a goal, I'm sure that he's always wanted to achieve, is playing in the Olympics for his home country. And I think right now he's feeling pretty good about his game, and you can just see his demeanor. It's a lot different this year, and just to see his confidence carry off the ice, it's really fun to see, and I'm really happy for him. It's been tough for all of us, kind of up and down years here. Guys have had pretty good years, and there's always struggle in between. But I think overall he's done a great job. He's always been a great teammate to everyone, and really respected all around the league and in the locker room. So I'm really happy for him.
Still on the Olympics note, outside of hockey, is there any other sport that you'd like to watch or interested in watching, during that time?
Oh man, I've always loved the skiing, the snowboarding.
Yeah.
The half pipe is always pretty cool to watch. I mean, just everything is so different. There's not it's such an individual sport when it comes to the Olympics.
Yeah.
I feel like you really got to hit your shot and hit your mark. And I'm just sure it's so much pressure to be there with all these people that have put in so many years, and then they have to get the trials to make it to the finals and things like that. So I kind of have a respect for all sorts of sports. I'll probably tune into some maybe I haven't really watched before if I can catch them. So, the snowboarding is always cool. It's something I can relate to. Everyone kind of snowboards and skis growing up. So it's something that's a little relatable to maybe my childhood. But, overall, I'll try to tune into a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting ones, too, is I don't know what it's called. It's the bobsled, but it's the single one. It's the exoskeleton one. When they're going down, they're just flying with that
how
speed.
do you get into this?
Yeah.
Where does that journey
don't know.
as a professional begin?
But that's one of the sports I always love watching, seeing how fast they go and how crazy that sport is. So obviously with the snowboarding is a cool one, but that is something I'm always interested in looking at. Maybe it's probably the bobsled side, too, because of Cool Runnings, the movie. Growing up, loved watching that movie. So I always have a little bit of interest in that. Last thing, too, about the hockey part is just you guys have had a lot of injuries throughout the years or through the year, and every team has so far. But what can you say about the guys who have stepped up? You talked about the Kraken being in a good spot right now to fight within the playoff standings. Well, I think a lot of that is with those injuries. Guys have stepped up in big ways this year.
Yeah, depth has been a key for our team this year, and I think the guys who have came in have just been phenomenal. I love the Melanson, the Winterton. He started the year here, but just the role these guys have played, stepping in as younger players and inexperienced, and really coming in and playing a predominant role. And I think just it can be a little overwhelming, especially when those guys came in and we were on that little bit of a slide and trying to find lines put together. I mean, Freddie's been up and down, so I don't always include him in that equation. But, our fourth line, whatever you want to call it, and, Katz coming in, being a younger guy, learning his way through the NHL, you can feel a lot of pressure. And I just think the way they've handled it has been so phenomenal, so inspiring. And every time they're out there, they're making an impact one way or another, and it's been so fun to watch and so important for us to be able to be where we are right now. They deserve a lot of credit. It's really, really cool to see. I've known Winterton a long time, and I know he's been grinding a long time to find his place, and just so happy for him to finally come in and make a huge impact. It's been really cool to watch, just see him coming up all the way and now being such a big piece of our team. It's been really inspiring to see. So I think just the games has been so many and not a lot of practice days, so you're not really around the team getting a lot of practices in if you're injured and things like that. So it's just been so hard to kind of gauge what you're going to get every single night out of the lineup and who you're going to have, and everyone just kind of being on standby, ready to go. It's been awesome.
So one of the things that we've been waiting to ask you, because we thought you might have great insight on this, one of the big changes in the league this year was, of course, the removal of the dress code, or the changing of the dress code.
Yeah.
Just what are your kind of thoughts on that? Has that been fun? Has it been interesting to see what like different guys, different teams have done throughout the league with that freedom?
Yeah, I think you can kind of see the guy the first couple games and kind of predict what he's going to wear for the rest of the season. You kind of get a little bit of a trend of certain styles that people are coming to the rink with all across the league. So it's been interesting, and I think it's fun to show that side off. I think some guys still keep it a little dressy, a little classy. Some guys maybe a little like skater, like whatever they may be interested in their outsides. Their passions with fashion and things like that. But I think it's been good. I think a lot of attention has been drawn to it. I think you're seeing like tweets and Instagram photos and a lot of attention being brought to it, which is really positive. And guys are able to show off what they maybe inspires them or what they're interested in. But for me, I've been keeping it pretty quiet,
You still go with suits a lot.
Yeah, like not like full suit. I definitely love not having to wear a suit. Probably the dress shoes is the biggest thing. I love my white sneakers, and I see the comments all the time. People roast me for my white sneakers, but always white sneakers for me. Clean look, comfy. But yeah, usually kind of like dressy casual for me always. I like the feeling of kind of keeping it that way, walking into a game. It feels more natural to me. You wore suits all along, so it does feel a little strange not wearing a suit to a game. So if you can kind of have some sort of a professional look or a classy look, that's more of my comfort zone, and kind of how I like to dress most of the time, whether it be at like dinners and things like that. When I come to the rink for practice, it's usually like street clothes, hoodie, and some sweats or whatever. But besides that, it's usually a little half dressy. I like to be like that.
I was watching a clip on a podcast with some of the Washington Capitals players. My buddy Brandon Duhaime was on there, and he was talking about how the Caps have like a kangaroo court style for the walk-in fits, and he was suspended from wearing his own walk-out fits. He had to wear a suit for 2 weeks. I believe it was Tom Wilson. If he didn't like what you were wearing, he puts you on suspension. So my question is, should the Kraken involve some sort of kangaroo court of that sort for guys walk-in fits? And then if so, who would be the first person to get suspended?
Yeah. I wasn't going to go with the who, but we could definitely have a couple court cases for sure. I don't know. I'm not going to expose
some questionable fits.
I'm not going to expose anyone, but there's some guys with some interesting fits. But, it's all fun. It brings good attention, and you can kind of see how they walk around in the public eye. It kind of suits them. It suits their personality. It's who they are. So I love that change that we've made as a league, and I think it's bringing positivity more than anything.
I've been meaning to ask Jared McCann about the hat that he had. At least he had on the last road trip. I don't know how long he's had it, but it has the playing cards in the back that have 1 and 9. Yeah. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got it made in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a really, really
it looks like it's hat. Obviously like a very fancy hat.
Yeah, it's like a custom hat. I don't know what the cards stand for. Is it
They're
a 1-9?
I think it's 1-9.
So it's his numbers. I'm like, that's
I think they have a few of those. Isn't there one in like Vail too?
Yeah,
for those hats.
Yeah, there was one in Park City. I think he got another one in Park City when we did the mentors trip there. So it's like it's like the spot to get a hat, I guess they say. So he's got the cool
Jared
hat.
McCann, the hat man.
He's got the hat.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been been good outfits. I feel like Ellie's always on point with his style as he walks through too. So haven't seen too many where you're like, oh yeah, he'd be going to court. But I'm sure there's some. We don't get to see all the walk-ins of everybody going through.
So what are you just kind of to unwind these days? Like, what are you watching? What are you listening to? Like, what are you kind of doing to keep your mind away from the game when you can?
Lately, it's been reading, which is kind of crazy. Everyone that knows me, they're like, "You're reading books?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm reading a book. I'm trying to take in information that maybe I wasn't really focusing on so much in school. More educating books, but
like what?
Like really, really boring books, like about stocks, bonds, like IRAs, trust funds, like really
the economy.
Really boring things, useful things. Just trying to prepare life after hockey and hopefully be able to do more stuff myself rather than having people do and handle your things outside for the business side of things. But besides the boring stuff with reading, it's usually video games. We have a pretty good group on the team. We're big gamers, not on the road, but at home we get into it a little bit there.
Maddie for sure.
Yeah, Maddie's in there.
Yeah.
You can obviously tell he's always stimulated with something on his phone or screen. But other than that, it's usually cooking, love cooking, have a huge passion for that, trying to get around and experience all the great restaurants here, and the luxury of being on the road. It's always fun to check out the restaurants there as well. So that's what I enjoy, food and wine, wine and whiskey and things like that. Just learning from all the different regions and just trying to more stuff getting away from the business side and the hockey side of things. Just trying to relax and put my mind on something else and focusing on things that maybe I'd be interested when the hockey stuff is a little bit.
Well, you mentioned cooking, Piper. You did a great feature on Vince Dunn. So if people listening haven't seen that, need to go check it out. So we know you have the cooking skills. I'm going to get you to answer something about your teammate here. Who would you not want to cook for you? Who would you least trust to cook you a meal?
All of them? No.
No, there's a good handful.
Because you have, from mine, like good cooking skills, obviously going through, and who would be that one person that
I'll
just
go with
no?
Beniers.
Okay.
Because his family's always here, and like he's always getting cooked for, and he's always eating at like the really nice restaurants and good places. So I just feel like he just doesn't really use a lot of stuff at home cooking for himself.
So what's funny on that front is I think it was from last year, like when we did those sit down, we do our media day interviews, whatever. I have this clip. I never used it like in a feature, but I like put it online. It was just 90 seconds. I was talking to Maddie about living on his own his first year and whatever. And he's like, yeah, I can't figure out how to make chicken cutlets because I keep setting off the fire alarm every time I do. He's like, and then my apartment complex calls me and they're like, hey, you okay? You set the fire alarm off again. He's like, yep, just cooking.
Again.
It's such a great little part from him. So I think that's a great bet based on my limited knowledge.
I think cooking's a hard skill to learn. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but I feel like for myself, I don't really like cooking. I'd rather order.
You just eat candy.
That's also true. But like, I only cook like 5 things and that's about it. And I have those 5 things down, but outside of that, I am awful.
That's normal.
Yeah.
I feel like most people have their go-tos.
Yeah.
Like it is not rewarding for some people. Some people are rather clean. Some people order out. Some people don't really care about what they eat. So it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just kind of suits your personality and your lifestyle more or less, I think.
Yeah.
So what would be your go-to meal then for you when you're cooking?
I love to barbecue, honestly, especially with it not being too cold all the time here. I can barbecue all year long, so it's awesome. Throw whatever on the grill. A lot of pasta, to be honest. I love pasta. I'm Italian, so that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, I love to cook pasta too. Okay, we have this question. You can take this any direction that you want. We've been having this question for forever, and JT, I had to tell him that we had to stop talking about it because we had to save it.
Ask it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, but okay. This is the debate we've been having between Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and then like MLS or Premier League soccer and pro golfers. Okay.
Okay.
You're talking your average athlete at the top level of all of those sports. Okay.
Okay.
Which kind of sport athlete do you think would be the most well-rounded to do all of those things? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I phrase that
Yeah,
correctly?
I don't think that was good.
I've gathered a lot of different people's takes on this, but JT, do you want to share yours first?
I said
Unless
hockey.
you want to go.
Yeah.
I think hockey because, the skating aspect is the toughest part for all of the
they would
sports
be
to
the
be able
hardest
to
part.
do.
Yeah.
I think of the hand-eye that you have already when you look at golf. A lot of hockey players are already golfing a lot anyway, so they get good at that sport. Baseball would be very hard for every other sport to hit a baseball, especially when you look at the miles per hour, depending upon where you're going, whether it's a curveball, maybe a fastball, you might get lucky. But I just feel like in general, everybody can run, everybody can catch. Everyone played soccer as a kid. I feel like we just played all of those sports growing up. but the ice differentiates everything.
It hurts everybody else
in my
so
opinion,
bad.
where they would be like average enough at all the other sports to outweigh the rest, where everybody else, for the most part, not saying that everybody in those sports can't skate, but for the most part, I would say you'd pick the majority can't do that part of ice skating or part of hockey. But I was told that I was wrong. So.
Yeah, and I've heard
You have
various
outside
takes.
answers?
Yes, I've heard from shout out Ian Furness. He feels NFL players would do the best. Also, JB from Social Team, he also said NFL players would do the best. A outside person I was talking with said that they felt NBA players would do the best. I felt like I know I'm super biased, but I
just
feel like
got
it has to
nobody
be hockey
skating.
players.
It's the skating.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that differed. If it was
Really?
like floor hockey, you could kind of mix in some other sports. But like when it comes to skating, you throw anyone on skates, they're like, oh, it can't be that hard. It's so hard, and it's not natural. It's not natural the way your hips move, the way your legs move. It's just, I think it's the hardest sport in the world to be able to do in general. So if you could do that one, I think you could.
Did you play any other sports growing up too? Because I feel like a lot of hockey players, I mean, I guess nowadays it's getting a little more specialized and, sticking to one sport. But I feel like for the most part, we still played a lot of those other sports as well.
I love soccer, and I'm going to get grilled for this if any of the boys ever watch this because I don't play sewer ball. But I loved playing soccer. It was my favorite sport. I was pretty much at like a head-to-head competition with myself. Like, do I go try to pursue soccer or pursue hockey? And coming from Canada, it was pretty obvious what decision to make and maybe the easier path to take. So I chose hockey, and thank God it worked out for me. But it's just more of like a summer sport to kind of mess around with. And I think everyone kind of has one sport to maybe just kind of stay active and hang out with a different group of friends throughout the summertime. But I'm sure most guys probably played like either lacrosse or soccer, especially in Canada. Maybe baseball a little bit more in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, and the Euro guys most play and love soccer.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're just the well-rounded, the average. I feel like it would be hockey, but again, like you said, I have my own biases towards it as well. But
And hockey players love to golf. Like, it's like...
Yeah.
And which is
It's
also
like
an
the other
incredibly
thing.
hard sport, right?
Yeah.
Like golf is a hard sport. But again,
The
baseball.
physicality, the endurance.
Yeah. I feel like hockey might win. I don't think will ever get a true answer. I feel like each sport, if you asked a football player, they would say football. If you asked NBA, I feel like it would be the same run. But, for hockey, I just feel like the ice just makes it a completely different ball game for everybody else.
I got this question because my husband saw like that thing that's going around that social teams are like asking athletes, NHL players, like, if you were more athletic, what sport would you play? And they're just like laughing. They're like, I'm a hockey player. What do you mean? What sport would I play if I was more athletic?
I'm as athletic as I can be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair enough.
Anyway.
Another question, random one, but I know you drive a really nice whip. And I want to know what your dream car would be.
Ooh. I think like the most unrealistic dream car would be some sort of a Ferrari. Like, I've never really lived somewhere where it makes sense, so I haven't really thought about that, and it just doesn't really make sense at all just to have one. So that's kind of like a retirement goal, maybe situation that I'd want to try to at least have one for a little bit. I just find like the sports cars are so nice and so fun, but like I've driven them and they're not practical at all, and they're so uncomfortable, and the attention you kind of get driving them around, it's just all eyes on you, and that's not really how I like to feel a lot of the time. So it's kind of nice to drive something more comfortable, more practical, something that I can fit more than one person in my car.
I do feel like driving around Seattle would be tough. There's a lot of potholes, and if you're driving a Ferrari, it would be interesting.
Canada's even worse.
I did see it was yesterday after pregame skate. I was driving home, and somebody was driving a really nice blue Lamborghini with the top down. It was like
someone had the top down.
It was like 40 degrees outside. They're in a full winter hat, full winter jacket, and I was like,
heck yeah.
He loves his car.
Still flexing. I'm like, as cold as it is, I'm like, just put the top back on, like do something. But no, it was still pretty cool. So they do drive them. So you still could have a very expensive, sports car.
Vince, I recall way back, like season 1, like the first day that I ever met you and we did sit down interviews, and you told me that like you got maybe it was your first check that you bought a really nice car
Yeah.
with or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it was a
your
car- it was-
grandma couldn't get in or out or something.
Yeah, it was
like
a
that?
sports car. Exactly. Yeah. Nobody could get in and out of it. Like if it was in the driveway and someone had to move it, like no one could move it. It was just like the biggest waste of money ever. It looked cool. It felt cool. And it probably lasted only about a week or two before I realized, like, I'm like, this is so stupid, but also like it is like such a nice car, and whatever the compliments, and it's fast and whatever, but yeah, like it's just, cars are just something I've started to realize. Obviously, they depreciate 99% of the time. It's just not a good investment for that side of things. And
You've been reading your books.
yeah, I've been reading my books. That's it. So it's just like it wears off. It's like anything. It's like a new pair of shoes. Do you want like the really, really nice ones that like are so expensive, and you know you get sick of them because you get your photo in them and you post it and you think you're all cool and whatever. So you know, like you just kind of, whatever makes you happy, I guess, at the end of the day. But for me, it's more just something that's a little bit more practical.
Yeah, I respect that.
I went through the practicality of the cars when I had my kids, because I had a lifted truck at one point. I had a lifted Jeep as well. And like getting the kids in and out of the car seat in a 4-inch lifted car, I'm like, this is just, no. It was not the ideal situation. But I think if I got to choose a car, I'd want like a 77 Chevelle SS, like black. Just old school, like muscle car.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked with Jared about this. I don't know how to like change the oil.
Oh,
and like when you have those kind of cars, like they always, like it's going to run into issues. You have a car that's that old. So like, and since I can't fix or do any of that on my own, it just is not practical for me to have that kind of a car. But it would be really fun.
I wouldn't put it past you to get it anyway.
maybe when the kids are out of school and I have a little more time on my hands, I'll learn. Maybe I got to start picking up some books on how to do automotive things for my car, and I can figure it out.
I'm not going to be buying myself any kind of bougie car because my car got stolen.
Oh yeah.
I've had a car journey, so I'm just going to drive my car until it dies. That's my current plan.
And I also think the other thing that would really get me with the older cars, like not having the amenities of new cars now, whether you're
Where's
like
the Bluetooth, the Apple
push
Play,
to start,
you know,
yeah, like there's none of that going through. So I feel like that, and then if you change that and like put it in your car, because you can, but I feel like that takes away from like the old school value. But I don't know, it's a pipe dream. One day maybe I'll have that.
Yeah. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming, JT.
Well, I will.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Any last questions here?
No, just thanks for taking the time on this
thanks
Saturday.
for having me.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you on for a while, but you're very elusive.
I know. That's all me.
No,
I'm glad we did this.
Not at all. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
It's
thank
really
you.
appreciated.
No, seriously, thank you. It's awesome. Thank you for tuning into Signals from the Deep with Piper Shaw and JT Brown. Give us an assist by rating your show on your listening app. You can watch the full video episodes on the Seattle Kraken's YouTube. Go Kraken!